I was 9 when I saw something I'll never forget. It changed something inside of me. One afternoon, I was in the woods near my house, my refuge from the oil refineries, polluted smokestacks, and screaming trains that defined West Tulsa. These woods were a fragile slice of life, a place to build forts, explore, and discover plants and animals. That day, I saw an eastern box turtle crawling through the leaves, its yellow stripes flickering in the dappled sunlight. I knelt, mesmerized. Check it out, I called to my friend. I opened my mouth to say something else, but before I could, he picked up a stone and smashed it. I watched, horrified. Something inside of me broke. I shoved him. Why'd you do that? I yelled. He laughed while I cried over the turtle, powerless to save it. That turtle, helpless in its environment, reminds me of my community in West Tulsa, disempowered, vulnerable to forces beyond their control. Disempowerment isn't only cruel, it's systemic. And nowhere is this more obvious than our current economic system. Capitalism, when left unchecked, can crush people just like that turtle. History tells us something else too. Change is possible. That's why I want to talk to you about empowerment, how it shaped my life, my ancestors' lives, and how it must shape the future of capitalism itself. Empowerment isn't abstract, it's deeply personal. My family's story is one of disempowerment and resilience, and it started over 200 years ago. On July 20th, 1814, my sixth great-grandfather, George Freeman, was freed from slavery by Captain Joseph Spencer, who stated, "Freedom is the natural right of every human being." This wasn't just emancipation, it was empowerment. When George Freeman was emancipated, he gained more than a liberty. He gained recognition as a human being with the right to build a life, despite the immense challenges he faced as a black man and a former slave. Freeman's journey began with empowerment, much like the evolution of capitalism itself. Both are rooted in ideals that redefined Western civilization over 300 years ago. These ideals, freedom, equality, and opportunity, are woven into the fabric of American democracy and culture. They represent the enduring struggle for freedom, much like George Freeman's emancipation did in 1814, a battle that continues for many today. Our freedom and the future of capitalism depend on empowering people, just as Captain Spencer empowered my sixth great-grandfather, George Freeman. If you're skeptical about capitalism's future, you're not alone. A 2020 Edelman Trust Barometer survey revealed that 56% of people globally believe capitalism does more harm than good. Confidence in capitalism has declined sharply over the last few decades. We're at a crossroads where capitalism must rebalance. Some say we should ditch capitalism. I disagree. Instead, we should ask, how can capitalism evolve to meet today's challenges? What should capitalism achieve in today's complex world? How should its culture shift? And how can we empower people to bring this vision to life? To understand how we got here, let's revisit capitalism's evolution, how it empowered, failed, and what we can do to fix it. Capitalism began as a tool for empowerment over 250 years ago, breaking the power of kings and queens while fostering political and economic liberty. American colonists embraced these ideas to break free from British rule, with some, like Captain Joseph Spencer, believing liberty should extend to all. Freedom is the ultimate source of empowerment, and it fueled revolutionary change. The Industrial Revolution brought immense wealth, but also child labor, poverty, and exploitation. As a result, labor movements emerged in the late 1800s during the Gilded Age, leading the fight for fair wages and protections, proving that collective action can rebalance power. Over the 20th century, capitalism experienced these same cycles. From the Great Depression to civil rights, collective action has always been a force that rebalanced capitalism. By the 1980s, deregulation and supply-side economics widened inequality, shifting power back to corporations and the wealthy. Since capitalism seems to empower a few and leave the rest behind, like some of the folks I grew up with in West Tulsa. The oil bust of the 1980s shattered my working class community, leaving families and the American dream in ruins. Unemployment surpassed 11% in West Tulsa, and the poverty rate climbed to as high as 25%. We weren't only statistics, it was our reality. Never getting a raise as prices rose, families struggling to make ends meet, having to choose between groceries and rent, dreams deferred, starting a family, owning a home, or abandoned altogether, like going to college knowing you'd never be able to afford it without drowning in debt. Since then, I've lost too many friends to violence, to overdoses, to suicide, including my younger brother who barely survived when he shot himself. His struggle reflected an entire community beaten down and disempowered, fighting battles no one else seemed to see or care about. For poor and working class Americans, especially people of color, this struggle is constant, a grinding fight to survive in a system that takes more than it gives. By 2008, the Great Recession revealed these vulnerabilities, leading to a populist backlash on the left and the right. In working class and rural communities, people are hurting. My friends are struggling. Many of them are still stuck in cycles of disempowerment and despair. In their book, Deaths of Despair and the Future of Capitalism, Ann Case and Angus Deaton argue that the very system that once lifted millions of people out of poverty is now destroying blue-collar and rural America. Today, 69% of Americans believe the American dream is dead. Prioritizing short-term profits has left the majority struggling. Real wages have stagnated for 50 years, while the top 1% hold more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Meanwhile, capitalism's environmental toll is staggering. 73% of wildlife gone, 1 million species on the brink of extinction. Our current system is destroying the very foundation of our economies, nature. Here we are again, in a new Gilded Age, a period of disillusionment. People are demanding change. The solution is empowerment. As we stand at this crossroads, history shows that people, when empowered, can shape the system's evolution. That gives me hope. This ebb and flow of power between people, markets, and government is the lifeblood of capitalism and democracy. The pendulum is swinging. If we act now, we can build an economy that serves people, the planet, and peace. If we wait, millions more will be crushed, just like my community was. The good news, we're not stuck with the current system. Capitalism is the most flexible and adaptive economic system capable of evolving to meet 21st century needs. Like democracy, capitalism thrives when people are empowered. New models like stakeholder capitalism, conscious capitalism, and the B Corporation movement show that businesses can thrive while empowering people and protecting the planet. Patagonia reinvests some of its profits into restoring ecosystems and fighting climate change. At the same time, Ben & Jerry's has become a leading voice for fair trade practices and climate justice, proving that companies can be profitable while prioritizing people and the planet. What these companies recognize is that, like a tree, capitalism is a part of a larger ecosystem. It must be rooted in fairness, with branches wide enough to shelter all. When greed poisons the soil or wealth makes it top heavy, it weakens. Its roots decay, its branches wither, and all those who rely on its shade are left exposed. A system that starves its roots can't stand. If we want capitalism to thrive, we must cultivate it, prune the corruption, plant equity, and let it grow for everyone to benefit. This shift isn't automatic. It requires collective action, which, let's be honest, isn't something American culture values. Like many Americans, I grew up hearing the same messages. You've got to learn to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You're on your own. No one's coming to help you. I believed it. But none of us are truly alone. For me, it took a life-threatening diagnosis, stage 4B of a rare and aggressive blood cancer, to finally understand the power of cooperation. Facing less than a 15% chance of survival, I discovered the power of community, friends, family, a nation, a planet, all interconnected, all interdependent in a vast cosmos. I felt it in my body for the first time as I completed my end-of-life paperwork and last directives. My place in this world was clear. Life, like capitalism and democracy, has always depended on cooperation. We're in this together. Cooperation is in our DNA. For millions of years, it's been vital to our survival. Isolation once meant death. No wonder the on-your-own mentality caused me so much anxiety. I knew I sometimes needed help, but couldn't ask, being on my own and all. Capitalism and democracy are cultural evolutions, ultimately realized after 300,000 years of cooperation between us, Homo sapiens, humans. We are not evolved to go it alone. That mentality leads to disengagement, anger, and ultimately the selfish and cruel capitalism practiced today, giving over our power to the corrupt and greedy. Economic disempowerment fuels disengagement, and a democracy without engagement can't survive. Capitalism can no longer focus solely on financial gain. The greed is good ethos of the 1980s, the wolves of Wall Street in the early 2000s, or the crony capitalism that's practiced today. Remembering we're in this together, we can overcome new threats to our collective freedoms. Yes, democracy and capitalism face serious threats as America sleepwalks into authoritarianism. But the future isn't written yet. We decide what comes next. This raises an important question. How do we work together as individuals and communities to build a system that empowers people? We all play a role in our collective evolution, especially how we co-evolve with nature. Together, we can support ethical businesses, be mindful consumers, and choose leaders who empower all members of society. Capitalism's future depends on empowerment. The path to political and economic freedom has never been easy, but it's crucial. It begins with you. It starts with us. In 1814, Captain Spencer created a legacy of freedom and empowerment for George Freeman that rippled through 6 generations, making it possible for me to stand with you today. Now, it's our turn. Imagine an abundant future where companies care about people as much as profits, where workers thrive and the planet is protected. We've been told capitalism thrives on competition, but history shows it thrives on empowerment. I couldn't save that turtle when I was 9, but we are not powerless. It's time to step up, take collective action, and empower each other. We've got to vote at the ballot box with your dollars and through your actions. Our future doesn't just happen to us, we create it. One choice, one act, one person at a time. That's how we change everything. Thank you.